Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another weather forecast video from yours truly, Dooley Godot. And this is Elite Weather Forecasting. So thank you for joining me here on your Saturday afternoon. I hope you guys are having a great day, and the weather is just peachy where you are today. But today we're going to be talking about that forecast, what to expect for the remainder of today, as well as your Sunday and the week ahead. We're going to talk about the tropics as we have a little bit of interesting activity going on across the eastern Gulf of Mexico, and we have the potential here for we have an active tropical depression in under the way right now, and we're going to be looking for this to strengthen to a tropical storm and potentially a hurricane. So we could see a brief hurricane in the Gulf of Mexico, and that's primarily going to affect the state of Florida. We could see a Category 1, and this would be Tropical Storm Debby. So Debby, ABCD, so this will be our fourth named tropical system. Tropical Storm Debby is going to be our next likely tropical system to be named here within the next 24 hours. So we do have a tropical depression in the eastern Gulf of Mexico affecting the state of Florida. We got the southwestern monsoon to talk about. We're going to be seeing some wet weather in the mid-Atlantic and into the northeast parts of the Ohio Valley, and some severe weather through parts of the upper Midwest. So let's get to our first map and talk about today's forecast. Okay, so here we are as we are taking a look at the southeastern U.S. and the western Gulf of the Western Caribbean and the western side of the Atlantic here off the coast of the southeast. And we have the state of Florida right there and our tropical depression 4 here. So this tropical depression is going to make its way up the east coast of Florida, and we see a tropical storm here off the coast of Tampa, St. Petersburg. And that is what we're going to be seeing about in the evening hours on your I think that says 8 p.m. on Sunday. We can see a tropical storm off the west coast of Florida, and that will be Tropical Storm Debby. And we're going to see that further develop quickly to a Category 1 hurricane. So we could see Hurricane Debby make landfall east of Tallahassee, Florida, right there in the bend of Florida, so between the Panhandle and the peninsula there. So we could see our Category 1 Hurricane Debby, and that's going to quickly travel across the Florida peninsula over the southeastern Georgia, could go off the coast there of Georgia and South Carolina, and right along the coastline of the Carolinas. We could see it is going to diminish, likely down back to a tropical depression as it plays peekaboo with the coastline early next week, Monday, Tuesday, into Wednesday and Thursday and Friday and Saturday. That is going to remain a part of the southeastern coast forecast through next Saturday. We're going to be having this tropical depression meandering right there off the coast of the southeast there. North Carolina, South Carolina, and Georgia will all share in this tropical storm that we are likely to have here within the next 24 hours or so. And then we're going to see those warm Gulf waters there over the eastern Florida, and we're going to see the very warm Gulf waters, the temperatures in the mid to upper 80s in the Gulf of Mexico there, and the eastern Gulf of Mexico off the coast of Florida. We're going to see those temperatures in the 86 to 88 degree range. So that's going to be plenty of moisture for this tropical system to work with here. And we're going to have very low wind shear. So things are fairly calm in the eastern Gulf of Mexico right now, and that's going to, we have lots of moisture, very warm temperatures, very warm water temperatures, so it's going to provide a very stable environment to further develop our tropical system, a very prime environment for this tropical system. Fortunately, it's very close to land, so that interaction with how close to the landmass it is will limit how fast and how powerful it will become, and it will make its way onto the west coast of Florida. As we head into your Sunday, we're going to see Tropical Storm Debby become Hurricane Debby, but more likely Category 1 Hurricane Debby. That means winds of at least 74 miles per hour. We're going to see lots of heavy rain and also a tornado risk across the state of Florida and the southeast. So southeastern Georgia, so Savannah, Jacksonville, Tampa, Orlando, down to Port St. Lucie and Miami as well. We're going to have a tornado risk and waterspout risk as well because of that counterclockwise rotation with that tropical storm and our potential hurricane here. So we're going to see a tornado risk and waterspouts across the state of Florida and into southeastern Georgia as well. So that's going to mean tropical storm warnings is posted for the west coast of Florida, down from Naples all the way up to Tallahassee. Pensacola has a tropical storm watch in effect, so we will have a tropical storm and hurricane headlines coming up here as well. So we're going to be watching for that, and we have the potential for some very heavy rainfall across the state of Florida and across the southeastern U.S. from Georgia, South Carolina, and eastern North Carolina as well. We have potential to see excess of 12 inches of rain, so some very heavy rain across eastern mid-Atlantic states in the southeast, North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, and the state of Florida. But we're definitely going to see the potential for rainfall amounts to exceed 15 inches here across the Carolinas, and Georgia is where we can see the heaviest rainfall amounts. And we're going to see strong tropical storm force winds and storm surge as well because of our positioning of that low pressure center, our tropical system, and the coastline here. So we're going to be seeing a storm surge up to a 1 to 3 foot storm surge. But I think that storm surge will increase the further north you go up the coastline, up near Clearwater and Tampa, and near Pensacola as well, where we could see the potential for a 6 foot storm surge. So we could see a 3 to 4 foot storm surge along the bend here of the Gulf of Mexico on the Florida Peninsula to the Florida Panhandle. So right in this region here, we have the potential for a 4 to 5 foot storm surge once it becomes our Category 1 hurricane. So we're going to see this storm make its way slowly up the east coast, the southeast coast here, and we're going to be seeing those wind gusts, gusts up to 100 miles per hour. So we can see the potential for 100 miles an hour, mile per hour winds along the coast of the Carolinas, North Carolina, South Carolina, and East Georgia, as well as the west coast of Florida here near Tampa, all the way up to Clearwater. In this region here, we're going to see that potential where we're going to see wind gusts in excess of 100 miles per hour with our Category 1 hurricane. So Hurricane Debby is going to be our immediate future here. And here we are as we look at our storm track Again, we're going to see that pattern for early next week. That pattern will carry Hurricane Debby across the state of Florida and into the Gulf here of the off the coast of the Carolinas and Georgia. So it's going to hug the U.S. mainland for several days, all the way into Saturday, before it begins to make its way across the Atlantic, more northeastward into the mid-Atlantic and the North Atlantic as well. So we're going to see our hurricane, but it's going to exist as a tropical storm over the Atlantic because it's going to be very close to the U.S. mainland. So it's going to have a lot of interactions with the coast there. So that's going to limit it from reverting back to hurricane status. So that is a bit of good news, but it's going to lash the southeast coast with high winds and very heavy rainfall. At minimum, at least 10 inches of rain, but we could see in excess of 15 inches of rain in some locations. So we're going to move to another part of the country and talk about other areas that's going to be experiencing some adversarial weather, and that's going to be here across the upper Midwest, across the state of Minnesota for today, and we're going to be seeing that through Sunday tonight. And it's been a beautiful day here in Minnesota, nice and sunny, but I'm telling you that's not going to stay the case. We do have thunderstorms right now dropping down from northern Minnesota and northwestern, northeastern North Dakota and South Dakota. We are seeing thunderstorms right now dropping down towards the Twin Cities. Even though the sun is shining bright, very calm conditions, very warm day out there. We're seeing those temperatures in the upper 80s to lower 90s. Very warm, beautiful day, but we do have some very active thunderstorms. So we're going to see a lot of lightning, lots of thunder. It's going to be just like a constant rumble of thunder as these thunderstorms are making their way towards the Twin Cities from the northwest. So expect showers and thunderstorms to move into eastern Minnesota later today and into the evening hours. Tonight we're going to be seeing those thunderstorms dropping down into Minnesota, and we're going to be looking for the potential for tornadoes with some of these thunderstorms. It's going to be some large hail potential and very heavy rain and flash flooding hail and some isolated tornadoes, damaging wind gusts up to 65 miles per hour, and we can see some localized gusts approach 80 miles per hour. So damaging winds, isolated tornadoes, large hail, heavy rain, the potential for flash flooding. So a very interesting evening is shaping up here across this great state of Minnesota. Again, for your Sunday, a marginal risk exists for all of southern Minnesota, south of I-94 down to northern Iowa, and I-35 and I-29 over towards the South Dakota and North Dakota border there. We have the potential for an isolated afternoon and evening thunderstorm. So heavy downpours is going to be likely and some hail, but a minimum tornado threat for your Sunday. But there is a marginal risk for severe thunderstorms across all of southern Minnesota, southwestern and western Wisconsin, and northern Iowa, and northeastern Nebraska, southern eastern and South Dakota. So a good risk, again, a large area with the potential for some severe thunderstorms tomorrow. And we're going to see those severe thunderstorms make their way across the northern plains in the upper Midwest into early next week, which we have these weak short waves moving across along our weak jet stream across the northern tier of the United States, where we have very warm weather further to the south across the plains, the desert southwest, with those monsoon thunderstorms again, and we have our tropical system over the southeast. So we're going to be seeing heavy rain across the southeast, because of Hurricane Debby / Tropical Storm Debby, depending on what side of whether it's over the Gulf or over the Atlantic. Again, frequent downpours will be likely as we head into the Northeast in New England next week. So we're going to see for your Saturday tonight, again, thunderstorms, downpours in the mid-Atlantic states, the Northeast, so Pennsylvania, Connecticut, Rhode Island, parts of Massachusetts, West Virginia, Virginia, Carolina, Ohio, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, as well as Delaware and through Maryland as well. We can see showers and thunderstorms. No tornadoes and severe weather is likely as well. We have a marginal risk for severe thunderstorms tonight through today, through the evening hours tonight along the East Coast there. So from the mid-Atlantic all the way up to the Northeast to New Jersey and Philadelphia, we have the potential for severe thunderstorms where we're going to see flooding, downpours, and travel disruptions, especially on I-95, and we're going to be seeing damaging winds up to 65 miles per hour and isolated wind gusts up to 75 miles per hour. Again, we're going to see those downpours here across the mid-Atlantic and the Northeast, and that's going to be through your day on Sunday as well. Heavy rain and thunderstorms is going to continue and be even more prevalent tomorrow. So prepare for a very wet day across the big cities where we can see these tropical type downpours in the Northeast and the mid-Atlantic. So from Washington all the way up to Philadelphia, New York City, and Boston as well, we're going to see those showers and thunderstorms. Again, those showers and storms are going to continue with those downpours, and we're going to see that continue through Wednesday as we have also active jet stream across the Northeast, but we're also going to tap into some of that energy coming up the eastern seaboard from Tropical Storm Debby. That's going to contribute to some of the moisture in the area as well. So we're going to see heavy rain and flooding through the Northeast and the mid-Atlantic through Wednesday of next week. So we're going to see, through Tuesday and Wednesday, we're going to see that heavy rain across Boston, down to Washington, D.C., Philadelphia, New Jersey as well, Long Island, and those regions in Manhattan. We're going to see that heavy rain continue. So be prepared for some umbrella action and some very wet conditions across the mid-Atlantic and the Northeast next week into parts of the Great Lakes. Here's another look at our tropical storm, our hurricane trap that we expect, and that's going to make its way up the Florida coastline here for your Sunday. Become a tropical storm tomorrow. We'll be calling it Tropical Storm Debby, but then on Monday morning, it will be Hurricane Debby, Category 1, making landfall on Florida, and that's going to remain in the forecast. The effects of our tropical storm hurricane will be in effect until Saturday next week, up in the mid-Atlantic, so all the way up to North Carolina. That tropical storm will slowly make its way up the East Coast to the mid-Atlantic states. And again, we have our summer monsoons continue across the Southwest. Afternoon and evening thunderstorms across Arizona into California as well. I saw a video for something with nothing to do with weather the other day. Yesterday, I just saw a video on TikTok about a news story in Southern California, but in the video, they had a wide shot of somewhere in Southern California, and in the background, I could see the thunderstorm clouds over the top of the mountains because they caught a shot of the San Gabriel and the San Bernardino mountains in the background, and I could see the thunderstorms, the thunder clouds looming over the top of the mountains, even though the story had nothing to do with the weather. But me being a weatherman, that's kind of something I saw. And growing up in Southern California, I'm used to the mountain and desert thunderstorms in the summer when the monsoon season comes. And seeing that brought back childhood memories of the thunderstorms that would loom over the top of the mountains and over the deserts. And you can see them if you look out to the east. I lived in LA, in the LA Basin area, but if you look over the east, over the mountains to the east, you can see the cumulonimbus clouds building up in the afternoon and the thunderstorms over the deserts, over Lancaster and Palm Springs and Palmdale. You will see the thunderstorms, and often on the news you'll hear them talk about the downpours that occur from those summer afternoon thunderstorms with the monsoons across the deserts and the mountains a lot. In Big Bear, you hear about the afternoon thunderstorms in the summer, and you can see them from LA over the mountains. And every now and then, some storms will make it over the mountains and come down into the LA Basin. And if you lived in the Inland Empire, I lived in Montclair in Ontario for a little while, in Chino, and every now and then we would get a thunderstorm that would drift over the mountains into the Inland Empire. So if you live in East LA or the Eastern Valleys, you might occasionally experience one of those monsoon thunderstorms. And I lived in Tucson for a while, and boy, did I really get to see a lot of the monsoon thunderstorms, because that area gets the most of the monsoon thunderstorms is around Tucson. And I lived in East Tucson for several years and saw a lot of the monsoons in action there. So again, a very busy forecast here for the monsoons to continue across the west through the weekend and into next week. But I think we're just about done with this weather forecast here. As we wrap things up, we're going to talk about the heat that's going to continue to build in across the western United States and into the plains and the parts of the Midwest. We're going to see it very hot, some triple-digit heat working its way in those monsoon thunderstorms down across the southwest. And with that prevailing pattern, those weak short waves will continue to traverse the axis of that high pressure dome out west and deposit weak weather systems across the northern plains in the upper Midwest, the Great Lakes, and into the Northeast. We will see repeated rounds of bouts of severe weather across the northern tier, and we get our tropical activity across the southeast with our tropical storm Debby in place there. So wet conditions will prevail across the southeast and the state of Florida, but we have our thunderstorm activity in the north, in the northeast, the mid-Atlantic, and the Great Lakes, and the upper Midwest, which includes Minnesota and the northern plains of Montana, North Dakota, and South Dakota. So that will do it for today's video in your forecast with Mr. G. Thank you for watching me today, and I will be back again with another forecast, and I will update you on the progress of Hurricane Debby. And I'm really happy to talk about our natural tropical system or hurricane, because we've had a lot of false starts this summer already in the tropics, partly due because of the high wind shear and the dust from the Sahara. That's kind of put the damper on a lot of tropical development in summer. So we finally going to get a little piece of action. But with people in Florida are probably going to have parties, they're not going to really care about that little weak hurricane. They're like, we Floridians, we're going to have a hurricane party. So they're not going to really care. But, but anyway, just something to talk about. A little bit of interesting activity in the weather forecast. Thank you for watching me today, and I will be back again tomorrow. So have a great day, great evening, be safe out there, and try to stay dry.